Hello and welcome back to another episode of our podcast where we dive into significant pieces of jewellery in our guests' lives. On this week's episode, my guest was one of the OG podcasters. She's had a book published with her best mate. She's launched a homeware brand and this year launched a surf retreat. Adventure and travel run through her blood. It is Lindsey Holland.
Hello, Ruth.
Hi, old friend.
Hi, mate. You all right?
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
There's so much to talk about. Obviously, we're here to talk about your jewellery, your significant piece that you've brought in. And I just feel like you've been, I think, overachieving, actually. Overachieving these, it feels like it's all happened in the last 3 years. But first of all, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and how on earth you got from how it all started to kind of where you are today.
Okay, so I'm Lindsey Holland and I started my career life as a physiotherapist actually many moons ago, and I basically had a fashion blog and Instagram on the side of being a physio, which was like my big love. I worked in elderly care and I loved it so much. I worked in stroke rehab and it was my favourite, but I'd had like really serious work burnout. My skin was grey. I wasn't able to make any time for friends, family, any socialising. I just lived at work. And so just before my 30th birthday, I handed my notice in and thought, do you know what? I'll be all right for a couple of months. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find a new role in a new hospital somewhere else. And in that time, I had all these opportunities happen and I could pay my rent without my physio salary.
This was with the fashion blog on the side?
This is my fashion blog and like a bit of Instagram. It just was taking off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I still to this day have never actually made a conscious decision not to go back to physio.
Really?
I'm just
do you think it's still in your, it's still in the back of your mind?
Yeah, and I do miss it because I miss working in a team. I miss that element so much and being able to like see real positive change, which I think is why I'm doing what I'm doing now career-wise. But yeah, and then it's just grown and grown, and I guess a few years ago I fell in love with surfing, and it came from having a really vulnerable time in my life. I went away to find myself on a solo trip, and I felt really uncomfortable about it. I've never been good at being on my own, and I thought, well, I love the water, I love swimming, I swim every day. Maybe there's something around an activity I can go and do that's around and with other people, but I can still get that real vulnerable time that I desperately needed. I needed to be uncomfortable and I needed to kind of like come back to myself and figure out what made me happy. So I found a surf retreat in Portugal and I just extended it and found out that there was so much joy in surfing and I loved it so much. And I was actually quite good at it. And I was like, oh my God, why have I not done this sooner?
You'd never surfed before?
Never been interested. Always been really interested in the surf aesthetic and a beach style life because I feel like I'm quite a nomadic person at heart, even though I grew up in Stockport, which is very landlocked. And excuse me. And the surf just kind of like took over and it was like this huge joy in my life. And I just felt so myself, met loads of amazing friends who I still speak to now during that period of time where I was learning something new and being around all these people who were also searching for something that wasn't, you know, it might have been a heartbreak, it might have been like career burnout, it might have been just they felt lost and everybody was so vulnerable with sharing the reasons they were solo traveling. So that's how kind of that started, and then that grew and grew and grew into more solo travels, into being more comfortable being uncomfortable, and actually now really thriving being alone and traveling alone. And then I went to Hawaii, which was like peak surf girl.
That really is.
And I went alone and loved every minute of it. And I remember being at this place called China Walls, which was just the most magic thing I've ever seen in my life. And I took my little journal, do my good self-care behaviours. And I remember thinking that I really wanted to bottle up the joy that surf has given to me, whether you fall in 10 times and you hurt yourself, it's all joy because you're learning something and you're pushing yourself to do something amazing and new. I wanted to bottle up that joy and bring it to a community that didn't feel overwhelming or intimidating, and create a space for people who don't want to just share a bunk bed, don't want to share a loo, want to have their own space in a really chic environment, but want to meet people and learn new things. And there was just nothing that I was seeing out there like that. So cut to the plan of Marnie Rays that was born last year, and we ran our first surf and wellness retreat in June in Portugal last year, and it was phenomenal. So yeah, where I am now is I also recently launched, that's a year old actually, the Longin, which is the organic cotton towels brand. And that's just mental and amazing. I'm like confused at my own trajectory here at this point.
Really?
Like, I can't remember what you asked me.
Introduce yourself.
Right, okay, well that was,
I know it all.
I'm just like, I'm having a really nice time in my life at the moment. I'm very busy.
Amazing.
I'm working really hard, but I just don't ever think I felt more me than I do at the moment.
I think it really shines through. I said to you as soon as you walked in, I said that I think there's just something, it's almost like you've just found what we're all searching for, that's finding our like the most confident, at peace version of ourselves.
That's it. And the word is peace as well. I'm like, God, like I'm so anxious usually and really uncomfortable. And it's because I've not been doing the things that are really authentically me and feel like me. And I've not been brave enough to push myself to do it either. And then recently I just have. And I just feel really free. And I've never had that feeling before. I feel so free. And it's like the most, I don't know. I've never felt like this before in my life. I'm 36 now. And I'm like, God, is this late to be feeling like this? Do people always feel like this? Does it happen early? Do people sometimes never get this feeling? Like I don't know what it is, but I just feel completely myself and completely unattached to everything in the nicest way.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And that's so exciting.
Yeah, it is. It means that there's lots of space for exciting things to happen and like lots of room for things to like grow and nurture.
Yeah. And you're still doing all of your kind of fashion stuff on the side, but we were just talking before, I feel like you're doing a lot more like campaign, almost like modeling in a way.
I know, I don't know what's going on.
Am I right in thinking you also used to dance?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to uni straight from college and did a degree in dance performance and teaching. Did that for a long time, lots of contemporary dance tours and things. And then I like had I've got quite hypermobile hips. I had quite a bad hip injury, and it just was taking me so much longer than the other dancers to recover from like a tour or a show. And my body was just like, no. And that was like early 20s. And, my career as a dancer would have ended really shortly after that. So I thought I better change tact. And that's why I wanted to do physio, because I had such a lot of physio and such a lot of rehab. And I was like, God, they can do so much good. I want to do that for people. Yeah. And I actually wanted to go and tour with a dance company. And I did some of my placements at uni doing that, and it just wasn't the right environment because I wanted to be on stage. I didn't want to be behind the scenes. Yeah. So then actually when you do your uni degree in physio, you are placed in NHS settings. And then I got into the NHS that way and just never left because I loved it. Loved being in a team, loved being able to see actual change of helping people. So,
Do you think that with all of the kind of like fashion, what do we call this? Content creation?
Yeah, I never know.
Do you think like, just thinking about this feeling that you've got now of feeling like so free and at peace, do you think there was times like doing the content creation, having the camera on you and creating content and that kind of like obvious kind of, are people going to like it? Yeah. Was that a big part of your journey as well?
Massively, because I think like I've never been confident in the way that I look. I've never been happy with the way that I look, and having to do that and show up for that all of the time forced me into it. I had a really bad patch of being like, I hate myself. I hate everything on that camera. I hate my voice. I hate everything. And I really struggled. But actually, the older I've gotten, the more comfortable I am, and the more like I like myself now, and I never did before. And so I think having it under the microscope was actually really detrimental for my mental health. But then somewhere along the way, I found some ease around it all. But I also think that started to happen and to change when I had other things outside of content creation happening, because the world's a really big place. Like, no one gives a shit about your photo wearing some jeans on the internet. Like, nobody does. Nobody's going and thinking about that at night time. Nobody is, lying awake wondering about what sock you chose that day. Like, it's just not happening, is it? And the sooner that you can get a grip of that, the better, the happier you'll be. Like, because it is literally, like, we're not saving lives, are we? Like, that we've got big, gorgeous, wholesome, loving lives outside of what we do for a job. And like, truth be told, like the fashion aspect of stuff wasn't fulfilling for me at all, which is why I've wanted to build things out and around it that give back to people, that like standing at Marnie Rays on those first couple of days and welcoming our guests and watching them be friends, and me not any part of that. I didn't need to be there. I just created space for people to come and make friends and make time for themselves.
How many times did you well up?
Oh, I cried so much, really, like so much. Like, it was. I was just like constantly just overwhelmed, but in the best way. So yeah, I think I've always just needed something extra to make sure that I feel really fulfilled. And it's so different what fulfills everybody. Yeah. But for me, it's always been bending over backwards to help people. Yeah. And that's what I do. I do it in my personal life, and I needed to do it in my professional life. So yeah, it's tricky.
So one thing you just said there earlier at the beginning was you, as well as a fashion thing, you needed to find other things to find fulfillment. So let's talk about the podcast, because I really do feel like you and Lizzie were one of the first podcasts I'd ever heard of before. Yeah. How did that come about? And then how did the book come about afterwards? So for those who aren't aware, people can still find it, right?
Yeah. My darkest secrets.
Things you can't tell your mum. Tell me how that all came about.
So basically, like me and my best friend Lizzie, super close, tell each other everything. And there was a situation with a text message, and I'm trying not to throw her under the bus here, or anyone under the bus. There was a text message that went between us both that was basically, would it be advisable to perform a certain sexual act with a certain ailment? And the response was, Jesus, things you can't tell your mum, or things you can't ask your mum. Yeah. And that was how it was coined. Perfect. Because we were like, is this going to be okay or not? And yeah, we have lots of conversations to this day about things like that. So it's always been very authentically us. Yeah. And we were like, do you know what? This could be so fun, because it was right at the beginning of podcasting. Yeah. And we, it was wild, and it was so much fun. And I think we were really in different places in our lives, like at that time. And I was so happy to divulge everything and talk about the ins and outs and the nitty grits of everything, from how we lost our virginity to how many sexual partners we had and all the rest of it. So it's still all there, everyone, if you want to go and listen to it. But also, again, that for us was about creating a community and making people feel less alone, like sitting in a room with your best mates and listening to these things that are really so normal. Nobody uses blueberry condoms anymore, but I had a sexual experience where someone did use one of those, and my first ever times. Now I was like, please, what is this about? Why does it taste like this? What's going on? Honestly, like all these things that you go through, and you're like, I've got no one to ask, what's going on?
And now all the answers are on the podcast and in the book.
And then so from the podcast, because it had such lovely success, we were contacted by a literary agent and a book publishing agency, and they wanted to turn it into a book, and they did. And so it's there, eternalized in audio and in
so everything. There might be a few things you wish you'd never said, but you can never get away from it now.
Honestly, like both of us are like,
why did we say that?
We've got copies of them at home and stuff, and if we've got like new friends, or like if we're dating or something like that, we're always like put that away, because people want to read it, and it's like explicit in there.
It's PG.
Oh God, yeah. But it was a really fun, lovely time, and I guess like nothing lasts forever in those kind of mediums, and we basically just were both having big transitional things happen in life, and we didn't want to share things in that way anymore. So yeah, it was like a really organic wind down to the end of the podcast, and it was a good few years we went for.
Really?
Yeah, and it was wildly successful as well, which
amazing.
It's just crazy. Yeah, it feels like another lifetime ago. Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to today. Like we were saying at the beginning, I do feel like these last few years have been really pivotal for you. The longing, which like how did you land on the longing? Where did the idea for launching organic towels come from?
I was frustrated with the industry of toweling
because I love that. I'm frustrated about this, so I'm going to fix it.
I'm just looking for a problem to fix, guys. I was moving to Portugal, so I went to live in Lisbon for like 6 months, and when I was moving, I was like, I need some new towels for the bathroom. It's a beautiful bathroom, and every single like towel that I loved or brand that I loved that were design led and sustainable, like using organic cotton and doing all the right things. They're like £300 upwards for a set of towels. And I was like,
bonkers.
I am an adult and I love investing in things like that I'm going to use all the time in my house and really take care of self-care. But I ain't paying £300 for some towels.
Yeah.
So I fixed it.
Yes, you did.
So I did loads of it.
And the colours are so nice.
Thank you. Yeah, we wanted it to be like really, you can get a white towel anywhere.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
Do it with my business partner, Jack. He's been amazing. He's so business minded.
Really?
And I'm like, la la la, creative.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a like dream team.
Yeah.
And yeah, went to Portugal, went to meet the factories, had all these meetings. I was like, what do you mean a loop? What do you mean a thread count? What is the GSM? And I had to learn everything from scratch. Yeah. And so I feel like I could be a textile expert at this point now. Oh, nice. But honestly, just went in so blind. Blind. But yeah, you can do anything you want to do. Just put your mind to it.
Yeah.
Like, who knew? Yeah, it's crazy.
Is there more coming from the longing?
We are pivoting the longing at the moment. So things are really in a lovely, settled place. But being completely frank, it is very expensive to make towels.
Really?
Yeah. Like the cost of organic cotton's gone up. The minimum order quantities at all of our factories have gone up. And we're just like, do you know what? Let's just take a breath and a beat and let's figure out what we want to do with it. And because we've got Marnie Rays, there's definitely some synergy there because it's all so summery and vibrant and gorgeous. Yeah. And lots of people do think it's already so connected. Sure. So we're toying with the idea of something bigger and more exciting, I think. But yeah, it's going to be a long process. But for now, the longing is towels, and we'll watch this space.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have been a friend of the brand. I feel like since day dot.
Yeah, the very beginning.
Since like I remember exactly where I was when my friend went, have you heard of Instagram? I was in West London summer and I was like, what is this? Instagram. Do you remember like we would always use filters?
Oh, 100%.
Always.
Yeah.
There was no extra apps you could get on. No. You just use all the different filters. And then it was that when the kind of like influencer sphere just opened and it was just incredible. And I think we've been friend of the brand since then, really.
Yep, since it all began.
Can you remember your first daisy piece?
It was a traditional daisy ring.
Was it? Yeah. We probably still sell that.
Yeah.
What, literally just a daisy ring? Yeah. Cute. What, just one daisy or like multiple daisies?
It was one daisy, yeah. It's like a plain band with a daisy on the top.
Nice. Yeah. I am giving that collection a little revamp next spring, yeah. So watch this space.
Oh, that's going to be
I think you're going to really like it.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, it's so nice because it's the little heritage of the brand of where it all started from.
Where it all started.
It's beautiful.
Okay, before we dive into your significant pieces that you've bought, talk me through your jewellery look today, but leave out the pieces that you're going to be talking about.
Okay, fine.
Because you do some excellent ring stacking. I always think you do some excellent ring stacking. And I feel like you are quite consistent with the rings that you wear.
I'd never
Because I was looking, I feel like, is it this finger? This has stayed quite consistently layered this. Yeah.
That's years. There's literally a thick band of unweathered skin under there
really?
And there. Yeah, it's like, unweathered.
So you're not today I'm wearing this, so this is the jewellery. This is the jewellery and these are my clothes.
Yeah, the only thing I'll do is like change a statement earring or necklace if I'm doing something fancy.
Okay, nice.
But the rest of it is like very the same. I'm very attached to all of my jewellery. Yeah. Yeah, I feel completely naked without it.
Do you?
Yeah. So I've got on, do you want to know where they're from?
Yeah.
So I have a gold signet ring with like an oval face and it has my granddad's birth year on it. This is 1929. And on the inside it says, "Never mind little rose," which is what my nana used to say to me. I know, don't. I said to Ruth earlier, I'm on my period and I'm going to cry probably when I start talking about all this. And then the middle ring, I actually had that custom made for myself, which is diamonds.
Nice.
Because it was a work win that I had, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to treat myself. Yeah. And I wanted to stack it with the signet ring. Yeah. And then the third one is just like a little sparkly extra to add to that.
Looks so nice all layered together.
Which I never take off.
Okay, great stack on the pinky.
Yep, and then we've got my daisy fossil ring here,
nice.
The silver one. I really like to mix silver and gold.
You do it well.
But I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I like diamonds and gold because the diamonds are silver.
Yes, that's true. That
Yeah. Listen, I'm 36. I'm at an age where I can buy my own diamonds.
Yeah,
Okay?
I love that. But that's what I love about that ring on your pinky. You're like,
Yeah.
I did it myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Buy my own
this is
diamond.
mine. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe there'll be an engagement ring in the future, but who knows about that.
Okay,
So you have to
put
buy
it
your
out
own
there.
until that point, don't you?
Well, actually, when Esther was on our podcast before, she
don't.
talked about it.
Yeah.
She talked about the next person that proposes to me, I'm going to say yes. And anyway, she's now engaged.
Yeah, I know.
So put it out there. So maybe
it's in the universe, guys. And then on the middle finger, I have like this was synonymous with like a beach that I went to, and that's got diamonds in the middle, shock, and is yellow gold. And then I've got 2 sparkly diamond cluster rings
really
here,
nice.
and then some like friendship knot rings that I've got some, and Lizzie's got some too.
No, I love those knot rings.
Aren't they nice?
Yeah.
And then here we have, so this is a vintage piece that I get asked about all the time, and it was my mum's.
Are we going to dive into that?
Yes,
That's one of your significant pieces.
Okay, I'll talk about that one later. This, I just love how delicate it is, and it just goes with everything. And I like
little like really dainty gold chain.
Yeah, I like
really
stacking
nice.
things all the time.
Yes.
And then then
necklace
this one we'll talk
about.
about.
Any earrings in?
Got loads of earrings. Got loads of.
You've
piercings.
got loads of piercings, haven't you?
I've got. Yeah.
I really like your sort of, again, so Lindsay goes, you really mix your dainty pieces and your heavier pieces so well.
Yeah.
But I love the layered dainty earrings. They're so nice.
I've got loads. I love piercings. I just like stacking loads of stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad, whenever I go home, he's always like, how much more scrap metal are you going to fit in that ear? And I'm like, Dad, it's diamonds. And he's like, bloody hell, you look right, bugger. That's what he says. I'm like, all right, Dad, thanks. And then, similar in this ear, just like some hoops and bits.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I ask my guests this every time. Why do you think jewellery is so important to people?
Oh, I'm so emotional and sentimental about jewellery. I just think because it has so much history and tells such a story. A lot of my pieces are from family or have been given to me, or I think it's really special. And it just carries such a story, and that means you get to wear that all the time. Yeah. And whenever I look at any of these pieces, I'm reminded of those people, and I just think it holds a lot of like love for me. I think that's the same for everybody.
And I think, like you said, it holds that story. As soon as you walk through the door, I said, I need to ask you where that necklace is from. And then it just tells a story. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, should we start there? Should we start with the necklace and bracelet then?
So we'll start with the necklace and bracelet. So these are from about 1996 we whittled down with mum and dad. So my dad bought mum the necklace and bracelet on a family holiday to Turkey. And we went to the same place in Turkey for years and years and years as kids, every year for holidays in Ishmael. And the gold there was amazing and really cheap. So it's solid gold, and it's got a sapphire clasp, and it opens in a really beautiful way. I've never seen anything open like this before, and the bracelet's the same, so it kind of joins in the middle.
Really nice.
But it makes it really delicate too, so I get really worried. Honestly, I must touch it like 10 times a day to make sure it's still around my neck.
And the chain, for those listening, it's like a quite a thick, boxy kind of chain. Yeah. I think it's like a box link chain. Yeah. And it's so beautiful. So box link chain, and then it fastens to like a double ridge loop with a sapphire in it. It's so, I've never seen anything like it.
No,
it's so beautiful.
Thank goodness my mum had good taste in the 90s.
And thank goodness she's decided she doesn't want to wear yellow gold anymore.
I was saying to Ruth earlier, she's like, well, I only wear platinum now, so you can have the yellow gold. I was like, all right, Sue, thanks. Brilliant. I'll stock up.
Finally.
And then, so she gave me the bracelet first, and I've worn that for years. And then, along came the necklace about 3-4 weeks ago when I was up north again. But the bracelet, because I've had it for so long, it's had to be repaired a few times. It's on its last legs, and I get petrified that I'm just, But at least I've got like 2 pieces of it. So if I ever did want to make this into a bracelet, then I could. Yes. And there's like spare links and stuff. But it's like very, very, very precious to me.
I love that.
My favourite thing.
Okay, where should we go next?
Let's go. Should we go to my earrings?
Yeah.
From my nana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
this is where the tears might come.
I know, no.
I'm also on my period, so I might cry too.
God, honestly. My nana Edna, she died about 4 years ago now. It is, and she was like my best mate, and she was super, like a super together and polished lady, always in her best gear. always in her best like jewellery. And I remember like my earliest memories of jewellery are like getting dressed up in my nana's like jewellery box. Love and it was always pearls. I was obsessed. I'd be dripping, and she had so many of them. It was her favourite. And I'd be honestly wandering around the house with like knotted up and like so many necklaces swishing around. She would wrestle me every time I left because I was off with them. And I didn't know, but when she died, before she died, she wrote out little notes for all the girls in the family to say what she wanted to leave to people. So she left me these earrings, and she also left me a beautiful chain that I wrapped around my wrist usually 3 times, but I fell when I was in Portugal in the rocks and broke it, so it's being repaired at the moment. So it's just a very standard like little gold chain, but it's really long, so it goes around a few times. And it just says, it's the most battered piece of paper in her handwriting. It just says, "For Lindsay," with a little kiss.
Oh, so nice.
And so that was in the top there. And I love these hoops so much. They're just really simple, but they've got a really gorgeous little fastening closure.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
No, I haven't.
It's quite, they look quite almost like inspired by Roman kind of jewellery.
Yeah.
But again, for those listening, it's a really delicate gold hoop that sort of gets thicker down at the bottom, and the fastening is almost like a horseshoe shape, so that they like hang slightly lower, don't they?
Yeah.
Really nice.
So they're not like huggies. They're really special. Yeah. They're really delicate as well. So when I wear them, I have to be so careful, as I don't want to break them. I don't know if we'd be able to get them repaired.
Yeah, sure. They're lovely. Okay, where to next?
Okay, let's go to Mexico City over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a really beautiful red cord necklace that's kind of got a beaded rose as the pendant.
Almost like it's a picture of it, like a white piece of paper, and then the rose is almost like drawn on it.
Doesn't it? So in February, I went surfing in Mexico, and I flew out for 5 days to Puerto Escondido, which is like the best surfing coast across Mexico. And then a few days after that, Lizzie, my best mate, came to join me. We spent another couple of days in Puerto Escondido. And on the last day in Puerto Escondido, we both were struck down with food poisoning. Classic. To a level that neither of us have ever experienced.
Oh my goodness.
Ever. To the point where we called that trip Mexico Shitty.
Yeah.
It was a tour of toilets. We were absolutely, I don't think I've ever been so poorly. And the bacteria that I brought back in my stomach was not okay. Like, it took me months to get right. Yeah, it was so bad. Anyway, we didn't want to waste any time. So from Puerto Escondido, we were doing an internal flight to go and have some time in Mexico City. And we had all these reservations booked, all these massive ideas and plans of what we were going to do because we'd not been before. We were so excited. And what we did was spend the entire time inside the Airbnb, tag team in the toilet.
Oh, mate.
But on one of the days, we were like, honest to God, we've got to go out. Like, it's like, it's the most depressing place in the world in here. And we're in Mexico City. We can't stay in the house.
Yeah.
So we just powered through. And what we did was we made a plan of all of the places we were going to go and made sure nothing was more than like a 5-10 minute walk apart. Because if we needed the bathroom, we had to go. So within this tour, on this day that we ventured out and took part in Mexico Shitty, we found this amazing market and bought matching necklaces. Amazing. And both of us always get asked so much about where it's from and what it is. But it's because it was from a market, I could never direct anybody to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really special to me. And obviously every time I wear that, I think of Mexico City.
So good.
Yeah. So it was an amazing trip. It was like one of my favourite trips ever, apart from that part, but still very funny.
Do you find it hard if people go, "Oh, I love that necklace, where's it from?" Not to go straight into the store. It was actually when I had the shits when I was walking around Mexico City with my best mate.
Yeah, no, and I'm like, Mexico.
Yeah.
But it was just, we were both hysterical because we felt so poorly. And I looked at Lizzie at one point because on the morning that it was the worst, we were sat in the airport getting the internal flight. It was just an hour. I, for some reason, was having like an okay half an hour. I looked at Lizzie, and you know when someone's writhing in pain, she was literally God. I was like, oh my God, is she going to die in the airport? It was so bad. And all we could do was just keep laughing about it because it was so horrendous. We were like, how are we going to get home? We had to get
Thank God it wasn't you by yourself.
Yeah.
A solo trip.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
that would have been awful.
On the morning that like Lizzie was like, right, okay, I'm gonna go to the pharmacy and see what I can get for us because I was having a bad hour. She was feeling better. She came back twice. She couldn't even get there.
Oh my God.
And then we did get to the pharmacy in the end, and they were like, all we said was like bad stomach, and they were like, take these. They're not even legal in the UK what they gave us because they're so strong, but they did the trick.
Did they?
My God, yeah, it was absolutely awful.
Thank God.
Anyway, that's enough about toilet troubles.
Okay, so from Mexico shitty, where should we go next?
Let's go to my Arabic necklace. So my Arabic Lindsay necklace.
Yeah.
So I was born in 1987, and
Good year to be born.
It is. And in 1987, my dad's best friend Nev was working in Saudi Arabia, and I was due to be born at any minute. And so Dad asked Nev to get my mum and me matching necklaces with our names in Arabic. Whilst he was away, to give as a gift to my mum when I was born.
Nice.
So mum had hers.
Good
when
thoughtful
I was
dad.
Born. I know.
Really good.
I know. So good from Steve.
Yeah.
So then she got hers when I was born, and then they gave me mine when I was 16. I was allowed to wear it for special occasions, but I had to give it back to mum all the time to like be safe. And I remember, I don't know where it is now. I don't know if it's been lost, but it came in a beautiful bright red silk pouch with like all of this amazing gold writing on it and like a gold tie, and it was like really fancy. And then now and then when I could be trusted, which actually wasn't that long ago, they gave it to me to like actually have. So yeah, I wear that now and again.
I'm really impressed that Sue and Steve managed to keep that safe for 16 years.
I know, honestly,
without losing it.
Yeah, they did a really good job of it. Yeah, so
that's
it's really
so
special
nice.
to me. Yeah,
and yeah, so thoughtful.
I know.
I'm still waiting for a gift from when I gave birth.
Oh yeah, you want to get him to listen to this recording?
Yeah. So if Nev can sort me out.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with him. I'm not sure he goes to Saudi that much anymore, but yeah.
Okay, your final piece.
My final piece.
Back to Steve.
Back to Steve. So Dad's wedding ring, and it's been through a lot with him, this ring. I think we figured out it was from like a bog standard like high street jewellers.
Yeah.
And it's a square signet. It's got sort of little
sun rays.
Yeah, sun ray markings on it, and a diamond chip. And when I say chip, it's a chip. You can't see it unless you close one eye. And so he wore this forever, and it's got a huge dent in the middle of it from when he was wearing it during a football match, and somebody stood on his hand and broke his finger.
Oh God.
And then the final straw, and why I've got it, is because he came off his motorbike and broke his wrist, and his wrist and his hand swelled up so much, and they cut his ring off. And he was devastated. And it was just for ages, just sat on the microwave in the kitchen at home, and kept going home and kept going. I was like, Dad, what are you doing with that ring? It was like, well, I think it's wrecked. I don't think I can do anything with it. And I was like, I will. So I took it to jewellers. They cleaned it all up, because it was like the darkest,
really
deepest colour of gold by this point, because it was just Dad's.
Yeah.
Cleaned it all up, and they repaired it to my size. And so then I've always worn it, but where it's gotten so thin, it snaps in the same place all the time. So I just keep it in my jewellery box now, because I get really worried about losing that as well. But yeah, I need to maybe like see someone and get it really reinforced.
Yeah.
But super special.
It's doable,
yeah,
I reckon.
I reckon it will be. But yeah, I love it so much. It's just really masculine.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's my dad's, and I'm like, oh yeah, the best.
But also it's like, it's your style as well,
Yeah.
with the little diamond and also the sun rays.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just been sitting in a jewellery box waiting to be talked about on a podcast like this.
It is. See, and now maybe I will take it to be repaired.
You're in Hatton Garden, you can.
I know, I couldn't I, actually?
Thank you for talking us through those. So you did touch on quite a lot about Marnie Rays. Let's talk more about this. What was that first? How did you first make that decision to set it all up? It was, you were going on your adventures, you found surfing. Why did you suddenly think, I can do this?
Do you know what? As much as I'd like struggled with my confidence in the past, I really now back myself. I back myself in things that I believe can make a good impact and good change. And where I had so much passion for it, I was like, I could do this with my eyes closed. I could curate this with my eyes closed. And that's what I did.
And your experience as well. I think, like you were saying about that moment when you gathered everyone together, and having that space and that safe space and the nice food and the nice touches, you've been so fortunate, lucky enough to go on such gorgeous trips and probably find what really, really works and what actually makes people feel really special.
100%. And like the hospitality element of all of that, and like down to, you know, I know that I'm in a very, very lucky position, and if a brand is taking me away, I'll open my bedroom door to a bed full of like lovely gifts from brands that they've curated because they think we'll like it. And whilst that feels quite normal to me now because it's been going on for years, that's not normal behaviour. That's not normal. Like, people don't get treated like that if you're not working in an industry that kind of is that. And so I really wanted to give that as part of, like, you know, I didn't want anyone to have to pay for those experiences. So I teamed up with all of like my friends in the industry, and everybody was so excited to help and be part of it that I was able to offer that to all of my guests. And all week it was so gorgeous because they were walking around head to toe in what we'd given them as gifts. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And everyone was just so thankful, and like, you don't do it for that, but it was just so nice to be able to give back like extra bits that weren't just time and space and people being able to be vulnerable there. It was like actual gifts that people take away and hold memories with, and dragging their long in towels here, there and everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, that's great.
And what are each days like? What are the days like?
So the day to day is really gorgeous. I've got an amazing team, and so we all rally around, have a little meeting in the morning. Usually, because we take guest chefs with us, or use local amazing chefs as well. We go and try all the food and figure it all out as we go. And so breakfast usually starts at around 8. Everyone has an hour-ish chilling out, doing whatever. Then we surf at 10, and we're out for about 3 or 4 hours surfing.
And have people surfed before, or you've got different kind of levels of people?
Yeah, it was really varied. So some people had been in the water a few times. Some people had like got to an intermediate level and was like, we're loving it, and it was amazing. Most people had never set foot in the water before.
Really?
Some people were scared of the water.
Did Estee come on this?
Yeah.
She did. She loved it.
She was amazing. She loved it, and she was good as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, mate, you're standing up. She was like, yeah. She was so
I bet
good.
that feeling is so good, because I saw that video, and it's like, I can't imagine. I could imagine I'd be terrible, but I could get that feeling when you can finally stand up.
It was just so good. And like, so I'd be in the water with everybody, supporting, cheering on, helping where I can, because I'm not a professional. I'm still learning all the time, but I know my basics. I can help in that department.
Yeah, sure.
And then when everyone was kind of settled, I'd nip out back a bit and like get a couple of waves myself. And then we'd go back, have lunch, or we'd go to like the local town and go to like this beautiful seaside restaurant that's on the beachfront and just order loads for us all to share.
Nice.
And then we'd have free time all day. There's like a swimming lake at the villa we were last at, and then yoga at like 5 before dinner. And then we'd always have like a big outdoor beautiful family style dinner, 3-4 courses,
lovely,
organic wine, organic beer. Yeah, and I just wanted it to feel really relaxed because, like you say, because I've learned so much from being on other trips, there's nothing worse than a packed itinerary where you can't stop and have a second to yourself.
Time, yeah.
So the main aim of every day was eat really well, nurture yourself, do what you need to do, swim, sunbathe, surf, yoga. But it was all optional, it was all included, so you could do what you want. Nobody was going to be like, you're going to be at yoga at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Who cares? If you don't want to go to yoga, don't go to yoga.
Yeah.
Like, some people would just sit and read or have a nap. Like, everybody's taking their own time to restore in however they need to.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that this one was a surf retreat because the waves and the coast is so amazing, that side of Portugal for that. But not all of our retreats will be surf. They're going to be wellness. We're going to expand into new offerings. And I just don't want anyone to feel intimidated that, oh, I don't want to surf, but I do want to go. So there's going to be something for everyone coming next summer.
Oh, sign me up.
I know, come, you need to come.
Let me know where the tickets are available.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Where do you find the most joy in everything that you do? Maybe it's, you kind of already answered it, the fact that you say that you're a giver. You want to like solve problems.
Yeah.
Is that where you find the most value in life?
Yes, it is. And I think where I am outside of work is always wanting to be there, show up, do things for people, create space, make people feel loved and wanted and cared for. I've really desperately, what I was lacking in work was being able to tie who I am like authentically into my work. And there's only so much you can do that with fashion. And so that's why I wanted to branch out, because life is so short. You just have to absolutely go for everything. Like, and all of the things some of the things that I talk to people about in terms of like starting businesses or going after what you want, everybody's scared. It's fear that stops everybody.
So true.
But what's the worst that can happen? That you fail, but it's not a failure. It's just a learning experience. Like, I don't see anything as failing. Like, if we had to shut something tomorrow, that's fine, because I have learned so much, and whatever I do next will have really informed that. Like, it's not a failure. And if somebody's, you can't worry about what people think. You cannot worry about what people think, because they don't know you. They don't care. Like, it's your life. Like, you're the only person that matters in this, and the people that love you. That's it.
Yeah.
So you just have to go for it. And I think backing myself in that way has helped me find fulfillment and success in what I'm doing outside of like the fashion industry as well. And yeah, just more strings to your bow. Can't harm, can it?
Yeah.
My mum always says fingers in pies, and I'm like, yeah, Jesus Christ, there's many pies.
Yeah,
right now.
definitely. It's so good. So good to see.
Yeah.
We're rooting for you so much.
Thank you.
And one thing that you've done recently is launch a collaboration with Whistles.
Yes.
How did that feel? How did that come about?
Honestly, like a career highlight.
Really?
Like the most wild 360. And
because you must have worked with Whistles over the years.
Worked in Whistles. I worked for Whistles.
Did you?
Yeah, in my early 20s.
Really?
Yeah. I worked
so
as a part-time sales assistant in Whistles, and all of my mum introduced me to Whistles, and all, like, if we would go on shopping trips, I was very fortunate, she'd like treat me to something now and again, and I'd always want to go to Whistles, and whether it was like a card holder or a purse, like anything that was Whistles, I needed it.
It felt very grown up.
Yeah, very grown up. And so it was a full massive moment for me, and I love the Whistles girls, and I'd always worked with them previously in fashion bits and like always support them. They're just a gorgeous team, and it's been a really long-standing relationship. And then they just got in touch and were like, because they don't collaborate with people, they wouldn't collaborate with Lindsey Holland.
Sure.
So, but because I'm the brand founder, they collaborated with me for the longing. So the towels are stocked in Whistles now, and we designed the most incredible swimwear collection.
Gorgeous.
That was,
so nice.
Yeah, thank you. That was all to do with my love of surf, beach, like feeling great in your body at the beach, but also like stuff that's going to support you and make you feel a bit sporty, and not going to have a nip slip, you're not going to have a a thong when you wanted a full brief, that kind of thing. So they let me get a little bit more skimpy and sexy with it than the current Whistles collection. And I was like, yes, okay. So we went to Portugal, got all the fabrics, I chose everything, spoke with the heads of departments there, and they just let me loose on it.
Amazing.
And I was obviously like, is this okay? Is that okay? Because they're the experts.
Sure.
So like, yeah, amazing. And anything we needed tweaking, or the fits or anything, we went through quite a few rounds of like making it absolutely perfect. And it was like I had 5 different hats on for that collaboration, and it was like one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Oh,
it was such joy. And then to see it come out and to celebrate it and to see people wearing it and tagging me in it, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
So it's been wild. Yeah.
When did that launch?
That launched
this summer.
Yeah, this summer. August.
Yeah.
August.
Yeah. It's so
July,
good.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you.
You
so
should
much.
be really proud of it.
Yeah, I am really, really proud of that. Like, there's something quite humbling about seeing a life-size poster of yourself in a store or a store
in
window,
a
bikini. I was like, oh, but yeah, it was crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, I really tried my best to make myself feel as strong and as good as I could internally in terms of like keeping up with fitness. And then I knew that I'd go into that shoot thinking, okay, like I feel really strong and really confident in myself. And I loved the pictures, not because of how I looked, but because of how I felt.
You felt. Yeah.
It was just such a happy time and just so full of joy and I was in such a good place. I was like, God, I can't believe this is happening. And it was very like emotional for me to see. Oh God, it's gonna make me cry. To see like those photos of myself and actually not hate them.
Oh,
but yeah, it was like, it was class.
You get me.
I know, don't. I was I thought it might be my nana that might set me off, but I think I've been just on like a real journey of self-discovery this last couple of years. So it was like,
you definitely have that. Like I said, it's the first thing I said to you. I said, you've never looked better, and it does come from like within. It absolutely does.
Yeah, it's just such a wild lesson to learn about yourself, that, isn't it? That it does come from within, and you've got the capacity to control all of that, and you've got to really quieten down all the noise and the bullshit that doesn't matter.
Definitely,
none of it matters. Like,
I was thinking that the other day. I was thinking, I think I said to the team, or one of the girls here, I said, I want to lose a stone. And I was like, I can't believe I just said that. I'm so fucking bored of always thinking about what weight I want to lose and how it's so consuming of my brain. It's just ridiculous. Free up that stupid space. And, you know, I don't want my daughter to ever think about that or worry about all this stuff. But I don't really know how we
change it.
It's just focusing on everything that you've just said, and it's just like absolutely from within the best things that make you feel the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. And I think like it's so easy for me to sit here and say that feeling in the place that I'm in because I've not been in this place for a very long time, and it's hard, it's exhausting, isn't it? And I think a lot of the turning points for me have been having cheerleaders around me and people who have really genuinely wanted my best interests and support at heart and giving me the big shove that I needed to go off in the direction that I've always, you know, known I would go down at some point. But
the fear was there.
Always the fear holding me back. What if this person says this? What if that person thinks that? What am I going to do if that happens? And what if people on the internet are talking about me? Nobody cares. And why do you care? Because you don't know anyone. If they're not in your phone book, it's not worth it. But yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky, and it does take a lot of, I don't know, self-exploration. Like, you know, I've had lots of therapy, and I've been on lots of solo trips, and I make that, you know, if I can only have one holiday a year, I go on my own. Like, even if it's in the UK, I couldn't recommend it more to anyone if that's how you're starting out in like your solo travel journey. Go and book a weekend away in an Airbnb or a hostel, something, anywhere, and go and be by yourself. And take books, walk, explore, like, and you build it up from there as you get more confident. Get your savings together, go a bit further. Like, you know, I think that's what's broke the cycle down for me, is just being comfortable by myself and on my own, because I never have. It's only been a couple of years that I felt like this. But yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
And what's coming next for you?
God, I love collaborating. I love working with people to make things bigger, better, more joyful, more community focused. And that's all I want to do. Like, I want to create things for people. That's what I want to do. And that's, I think, Marnie Rays is like the apple of my eye because of that. And we've got June, July, August, September dates being released. June's already out for next year for the surf retreat, but then July, August and September are in the works at the moment. And we're going to be going to new destinations, and we're going to be offering new things at these retreats as well, and we'll be collaborating with some really gorgeous names that people will know. Amazing. So yeah, I'm really excited, and just want to just give things to people, offer it all out, and bring everyone in.
Amazing. Can't wait.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to end on some quick fire questions.
All right, go on.
Are you ready?
As long as it's not going to make me cry.
No, they won't make you. I'll try not to make you cry. Okay, silver or gold?
Oh, gold.
Oh, really? Well, you mixed, but you made gold. You made
gold.
This is probably a hard one for you. Statement piece or subtle layers?
Oh, subtle layers.
Subtle layers, yeah. I mean, of course, actually. No.
Yeah.
Dressed up or dressed down?
Dressed down.
That was easy, wasn't it? One thing from your significant pieces you'd say from afar?
Oh, my necklace. My mum. Yeah.
Okay, and this is to finish the sentence.
Okay.
I don't feel myself without. You've already said it. You said your jewellery.
My jewellery.
Yeah. Great podcast to be on for that kind of answer.
Yeah, I literally do not feel like myself without. I feel naked. And naked as a newborn hamster. Naked.
My go-to outfit is?
This.
Really? White t-shirt?
Yeah, something basic.
Yeah.
White t-shirt, perfect fitting t-shirt.
Yeah.
Denim, trousers, flats or trainers. Yeah.
Perfect. And finally, jewellery makes me feel?
Like myself.
Nice. Yeah. The best version of yourself.
The best version of myself. Yeah.
Which you are, absolutely. And it's been so nice to speak to you. Thank you for sharing all your stories and opening up and making me cry.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
It's really nice.
Thank you so much for having me.
So nice to see you. Thank you.